welcome to another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. I know what it's like to get to the end of the Christmas season only to find that you've spent all of your Christmas budget, which is so easy to do, right? Especially if you're like me and you want to make sure that everyone gets a gift and feels loved by you, or you want your children to be involved and so you let them buy Christmas gifts for everyone as well, meaning you're actually buying 2 gifts for everyone. That is a lot of money out the window real quick when we're dealing with like $20 to $30 gifts, right? So as we head into this last week before Christmas, when we tend to start running low on Christmas funds, I wanted to keep your spirits up and bring you a few things that you can do so that you can get those last minute items that you've forgotten without having to reach for your credit card. So go cuddle up with a nice warm drink, get comfy with them babies, and open up your heart to God as we settle into today's episode. Do you find it hard to save or get out of debt? Are you constantly searching for ways to save money and live on a budget? Do you have big dreams only to be stopped by not sticking to your budget? Are you ready for financial freedom? Then you, mama, are in the right place. Welcome to the One Income Family Podcast, where you will learn what it looks like to budget on one income, how to partner with God in your finances, how to budget in a way that's easy to stick to, and how to cut costs and save money, all so that you can start building wealth. It is my mission to equip you with these tools so that you can live in abundance regardless of the amount in your account. Hey, I'm Molly, a budget coach for stay-at-home moms, and I know what it's like to struggle on one income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck, relied on being frugal, and failed many budgets until I learned how to budget without tracking. This has allowed my family to pay off debt and build wealth all on one income. So, if you are ready for financial freedom, then go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. Are you living paycheck to paycheck and you're sick of the inconsistency? My friend, I was you. We lived the dreaded paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. We paid bills first, which left us with inconsistent amounts each pay period to put towards everything else. So, the groceries, gas, we never knew how much we had to put towards those things after bills came out. It was hard to track. It was hard to save. Budgeting was a nightmare. That is what I don't want you to have to deal with any longer. It's time to get out of the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle you are living. It's time to be able to start saving money and working with consistent amounts each time you go to budget, even if your budget is inconsistent. It's time to book a budget audit so that you can achieve the financial peace you are looking for. All you have to do is email me at mollybennell@gmail.com. That's MOLLY, B as in boy, ENELL @gmail.com with the subject line budget audit so that we can figure out the steps you need to take to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Again, email me at mollybennell@gmail.com with the subject line budget audit, and let's get this going for you. Alrighty, so when you don't make a budget or, follow your budget very well because, maybe you created an unrealistic budget because that happens. Trust me, I've been there. I'm sure you have too. Or maybe you forgot someone on the list of the gifts that you were planning to get. Or you upped the price of gifts while you were shopping. The list can go on. But anyways, when all this stuff happens, funds tend to start running low. And categories, they start running together, and the tendencies can be to reach for that credit card or maybe into the savings account to be able to get everything needed or, really wanted for Christmas. It can be such, a reflex really to reach for things that we have that are easy to get to because Christmas in our brain is more important at the time, and we tend to forget about everything else that is in our budget, all the things that need to stay safe and the boundaries that we have in place to keep us from using that money, right? And Christmas, it just kind of brings out this I don't know, this thing, this animal, this spending person inside of us who just wants to go and buy the thing, who wants to make sure that everybody gets something because they don't want to get feelings hurt, right? I don't want to hurt other people's feelings, and I know you don't as either. And so when we think about Christmas, kind of logic tends to go down the drain. And I am right there with you. I know the feeling. We have all these tools and tips and tricks to help us stay on budget and really stay in the zone, right? But it can just be so easy to fall into temptation and to be like, oh my gosh, this person got me a gift. No, I have to get them a gift. Otherwise, I'm going to feel bad. And it's not about that, though. Christmas isn't about, getting something in return. It's simply about giving gifts, not receiving. And if we take that mindset away, then you won't be as, nervous or anxious or upset or feel like you're doing something wrong if you don't give somebody a gift, right? It's totally fine to receive a gift and not give one in return. And that kind of feels like it's the wrong thing to do, right? So, okay, I'm going to stop that little soapbox right there. But I just really want you to understand that Christmas tends to bring out a different side of us, a side that is more okay with spending when normally we would be a little more pushed back against the spending, and it just kind of makes us more lax about it. And so that is what today is about. I mean, it's not really about that, but it helps solve those issues when we have gotten lax with our budget and we have gone over budget and we've spent more than we planned to on the Christmas gifts or maybe the Christmas decorations or whatever activity that you are like okay with spending more money on. Or maybe it's both, right? And you created an unrealistic budget. You're like, okay, well, I want to stay under this amount. But then when you realize all the people you have and the prices that things are, it just doesn't really go together. It doesn't fit. And so you're like, okay, well, now where am I going to get this money? The only place that I know is a credit card or pulling from my savings or keeping myself from paying down that debt that I've been trying to do. And so this is what today is all about. It's about figuring out where you can get the money from and how you can spend that money and still be able to stretch that money so that you're able to get the biggest bang for your buck. So I'm going to start with places that you can look in your monthly budget to stretch your dollars and get those last minute things. And then I will end with how you can spend those few dollars to make them stretch and cover all you need to get to finish out the season. So let's start, like I said, with where you're going to find those last little bit of pennies that you're trying to rub together, right? So what you can do is you can use, and I've talked about this before many times, but you can use your grocery budget. And I don't mean that you just, simply forget about buying groceries altogether. What I mean is, if you can, do some shelf cooking. So instead of buying groceries, use what you already have in your freezer, in your refrigerator, on your shelves. Create meals out of what you already have so that you don't have to spend as much money on the normal things that you get every single month, and you can put that money towards your Christmas activities or your gifts, or at this point I'm assuming it's probably just food and decorations and that kind of stuff. It's probably not last minute Christmas shopping for gifts, but you might be like me and I still have a couple gifts that I need to get, and we're only a week away, right? So use your grocery budget. That's the first place I'm going to tell you. I'm also going to challenge you to try to cut back as much as you can on your normal grocery expenditure. So if there's something that you normally get that's a fun little thing that you're like, oh yeah, I like to do this, well, maybe change it from that fun thing. So maybe give yourself a treat like of chocolate or something. Well, instead of getting yourself the chocolate, use that money to maybe get some chocolate for your stocking stuffers, right? Or that kind of thing. just exchange it out a little bit. Still get the same thing, but in a different form, and maybe at a cheaper price point if you can find that, right? Also, when you are there, again, try to challenge yourself to not use as much of that money for your normal monthly expenses. What can you cut out? What do you have to get? Like those kind of things. Really challenge yourself to use as little amount of that grocery budget as you possibly can so that you have a plethora of budget or income to use on your Christmas budget and the places that you got a little lax on. Another place that you can look for this extra income is in your spending budget. And I know that this can be hard because we like to have our fun little spending money, but I mean, seriously, if you're struggling for maybe going and getting some food for hosting Christmas, or there's something else that you're really needing to get last minute and you've just completely spaced it off and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to get that, but I don't have any money left over, then use your spending budget. I know it's going to be hard, but it's only for a pay period. You will get that money back next pay period, right? And maybe you're at the end of the pay period, so maybe you'll get it back in like 2 days. Who knows? But that is another place that you can look for your spending, for extra money, is in that spending budget. A third place that you can look is after, and this is like, it kind of works if you have set it aside for the situation, but if you have another pay period coming in and it's at the beginning of maybe this week or in the middle of this week, go through, do your normal budgeting stuff, and then what you have remaining that you would normally, divvy out into savings or towards debt, still do that, but use some of that income to be able to cover those last little bit of Christmas expenses that you are needing to cover because, again, you spaced them or you got a little lax on your spending and your budget just was unrealistic for what it is that you actually wanted to cover. So those are the 3 areas that I encourage you to use for your spending money to cover the Christmas expenses that you have forgotten about or you're needing to get last second, because you don't want to use anywhere else. You don't want to use your bill money. You don't want to use your gas money. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to go anywhere unless said gas money is to take you to wherever it is that you're going. So then I think you would still be able to use that money for that situation. So you really just have to weigh, what it is that you're doing and like be mindful about what it is that you're doing, right? So once you know where you're able to pull that money from, the next thing that I really want you to focus on is figuring out where to spend those few pennies that you're able to squeeze out of your monthly budget so that you can put it towards your Christmas budget, right? And so the first thing I'm going to tell you, and you're probably going to go, no, I don't want to do that, but is to go to the thrift store. I know it can be a little not something you really want to do, to go to the thrift store when you're thinking of Christmas, because Christmas means new and shiny, but trust me, old things are just as valuable as the new things, and sometimes they're even better. You could go there and find something that's more meaningful than a brand new toy or a brand new dress or something that somebody's looking for, and you're like, oh my gosh, they talked about this. This is something they did during their Christmas. This would be a great gift, right? So I suggest starting at the thrift store, then possibly going to the Dollar Tree, which is a lower price point of a place, or I guess you could also do like the dollar store or Five Below. But when you get to those 2 areas, it can also be a little higher in price depending on what you're buying. So again, just be mindful in what you're getting and where you're getting it from, so that when you do use these pennies that you have found and you had to fight for to get these pennies, you don't just blow it on something that is brand new and worth a whole lot of money and you're out for the rest of the season, right? So really figure out what it is you can do to stretch those pennies, to get the most out of what it is that you worked really hard for to find in the first place. And that's why I suggest the thrift store and the Dollar Tree. From there, try to figure out what you can do homemade. So maybe instead of buying a gift, you make them some bread or some cookies, or maybe there's somebody who's a healthy person and you figure out, you'll be like, okay, I'm going to make them some sort of healthy thing instead of a sweet, right? And that's totally fine. You just figure out what their favorite thing is and you make that thing. And it's going to be like a $3-4 gift compared to a $20 gift that could end up using all of that little bit of income that you were able to stretch from your monthly budget. Another thing that you can do is you can regift something. So go through your own home. What's something that you're wanting to give to Goodwill or get out of your house because it's cluttering? Maybe you have a cooking utensil that you don't use very often. You could give that to somebody who just got a new home, right? They would love that. Maybe you have another cooking machine. For instance, something that I don't use very often is my air fryer. And I've thought about giving it away because it would be a good gift. But at the same time, I still use that every now and again. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to quite let go of it completely, right? So those are some things that you can do. Maybe there's some books that you're done reading that somebody else would love to read. You could gift that to them. Maybe you have candles or essential oils on hand and you could give those away, or lotions. There are so many things that you have in your home that are simply cluttering up your home. And if you just re-gift it to somebody who it might be more meaningful to, they're going to love it, no matter if it's a re-gift or a brand new buy. They're not going to know the difference, and you don't have to tell them because it's still a gift from the heart. It's still something that you are giving to them, not because you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I have to give somebody something. It's because, okay, what do I have at home that I know that they would enjoy? What do I have that they talk about? Oh, I wish I had that too, that I can just give to them and let them have. That is a great gift, even if you are not buying it firsthand, right? Secondhand things are just as awesome as firsthand things. Another thing you can do is check your freezer. So if you're looking for food items, check what you have in your freezer, check what you have in your pantry, see what you already have and use that to just really expand on what you're already making, right? Maybe you forgot the vegetable and it'd be weird to have like sweet potatoes as a vegetable when you're already having sweet potato pie or something like that. And so just look in your pantry, look in your freezer and see what you already have and just substitute with what you already have instead of completely figuring out a new whole meal plan, right? Because trust me, everything will go together. You just got to figure out how it mends. You got to be creative. And that's the hard thing these days because we are so consumed. Like we live in a world of consumerism. We're wanting to consume everything that we have, always staring at our phones, consuming content from either Facebook, Instagram, the internet, YouTube, podcasting even. We just are constantly learning and consuming things to the point where our creativity is just going down, like our focus. Instead of coming up with our own new ideas, we're finding somebody else's ideas because it's easier. Again, we're living in a world of the easy button. And yeah, it may take things like a little more off your plate, but it's taking away our creativity. It's taking away who we are and just recreating what somebody else is. So okay, I'm going to stop. I'm going to get off that soapbox. But my point here is that you just try to find things to do that are a little more creative, and it's going to be so much better because you came up with it and it's not somebody else's idea. It's going to feel better and you're going to be happier about it. Okay, so another thing that you can do for gifts, or even for, when you're wanting to give to people, is instead of giving things attached to money, give things by using your time. So gift people babysitting coupons or something. Gift people hugs if that's something that they would like. Gift people a phone call in the middle of the night if that's something that you don't like doing. Gift people a diaper change, or I know I'm kind of on like the kids side of things, but a date night so that they can go out together as a just the two of them, like maybe husband and wife need to go out. That would be a great thing right there, taking over the kids for them, or gift them cleaning their house so that they can go and do something else that they're wanting to do and come home to a clean house, right? There are so many things that you can gift and not have to tie money around it. If you want to go out and give your time to like a food place, I'm trying to blank on what it's called, but like a homeless shelter, you can give time to them instead of money. Like the Salvation Army, maybe you're struggling in finances and you can't give them money, but you can give them some of your time. So figure out what it is that you want to do, or figure out what they need and put your time towards it. Gift your time instead of your money. And trust me, that is going to be so much more meaningful than money. Like I almost would like to do a thing where we just gift everyone some of our time during the year, and then we can call on each other. I mean, as a family and friends, you should know that you get to call on each other, but we are in, again, a world of individuality, and we want to do everything ourselves, or we don't want to be judged by somebody else, or we don't want to have them put their input on what we're doing. There's so many reasons as to why we do things by ourselves instead of asking for help. But when we ask for help and when we give gifts of our time, letting that person know that I am willing to help you, let me know what you need when you need it. And that is a great gift, knowing that they have somebody on their side willing to help them just by being their friend. It's just a great thing. Okay, and then the last thing that I have to say, my last suggestion, which is a little bit difficult to say because it might ruffle some feathers, but it's simply don't get it. If there is something out there that you feel like you have to give a gift to somebody because, again, they gave one to you, don't get a gift. Like a return gift simply because I gave somebody a gift does not mean very much. Like it's like, okay, yeah, I didn't really want a gift in return. I was just giving this because I really felt like you could use it, and it's like an actual gift from the heart. I didn't need anything in return. Then don't get the gift. If there's some kind of food that somebody wants to have there and you just don't have the finances for it, and your food table is completely full as it is, don't get it. It is okay not to get the decorations. It is okay not to get the paper plates and the napkins and spoons, and just use your normal napkins, plates, and spoons and cups and all that kind of stuff. It may not be decorative, but it's still like a utensil. It's something that you can eat with. The decorations are not super important. They're just fun and festive. And so don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to not get whatever that thing is. Okay, so let's go over what it is that I said, because I know I went down a lot of rabbit holes. So the first thing I said to get you to find your pennies, right? To find your extra pennies is to look in your grocery budget. Then I suggested going to your spending budget, and then using the remaining amount from your monthly budget after you have separated out where everything needs to go, and whatever is left over at the end, use that for your extra Christmas spending money that you are trying to find to cover those last minute things, right? And then figure out, however the situation calls, whatever that item is, figure out the best way to pinch those pennies and really stretch those dollars so that you can use the most of it and not go through all that hard work to find that income just to blow it because you went to find the easy thing, right? Sometimes the easy thing is not the right thing. So what you can do is you can go to the thrift store. You can go to the Dollar Tree or like Five Below or the dollar store. Just really be mindful of the price when when you're buying whatever that said thing is. And sometimes the quality in like the Dollar Tree or Five Below or the dollar store is a little less quality. So that's why I suggested the thrift store first, because they're still usually pretty quality items, like good items. They just may be a little dirty or a little used, right? So you really got to be mindful, and you really got to look at what it is that you are wanting to get. Another thing that you can do is homemade, whether it's food that you're making homemade as a gift, or it could be a handmade like sign that you want to get somebody, or some clothes, a blanket, scarf, gloves, the options are endless on what you can do homemade, and it's going to be so much cheaper because you may already have the stuff at your house to make said item, and you don't have to buy anything new. So you're not having to actually go out and use those monies that you found and you're trying to stretch. You're able to use what you have at home and save that money for something maybe later on that you need to find, and maybe you then don't actually end up need to use it, right? Another thing you can do is regift. Make sure that you check your freezer, because a lot of food items probably will be found in your freezer or your pantry. Give gifts of time instead of money. That's going to be, again, it's going to be so much more meaningful. And then don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid not to get the item, because it may not be really that important. It just is something that somebody else maybe said something, and now you're feeling like guilty and you have to get it. And don't let the guilt, don't let the emotions ride or make the financial decision. Like, use your brain, let yourself be mindful on what it is that you're actually doing and whether you actually need to be buying said item. Okay, so with that being said, I want to help you stop living paycheck to paycheck. I know how living that way just really makes you live in a world of inconsistency, and you're not sure if you're going to be able to pay all your bills even sometimes, because maybe you have to split up your bills to make sure that your income can handle it, right? Like those bigger bills, like your mortgage or maybe even a car payment, might have to be split up so that it's easier on your income. And that is just a headache, and I don't want that for you. I want you to be able to track your income. I want you to be able to save easily, to be able to pay off that debt and not be living in the stressful cycle of living paycheck to paycheck. I want you to be able to live in consistency and to really have financial peace that you're looking for, so that you can go on those trips that you want to go on, or be able to buy something that you have really been looking forward to, but you haven't been able to because saving is just not an option, right? So I want you to be able to do that. And all you have to do to be able to do that is grab a budget audit. It's a simple, easy call that we will look through your budget and see what's going on and why you're not able to save money, why you're not able to pay off debt and do all these things that all the other people are doing. And so to get yourself a budget audit, all you have to do is go to mollybennell@gmail.com and put budget audit in the subject line, so that we can, just start connecting. You can learn more about what a budget audit is and get it set up for you so that you can just start living in financial peace instead of financial overwhelm. Again, go email that to mollybennell@gmail.com. That's MOLLY, B as in boy, ENELL @gmail.com. And with that being said, I will see you right back here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. Before you go, I hope this episode has ignited a fire inside of you, and I pray that it creates long-lasting impact. Did you know that you too can impact other one-income families? All you have to do is leave a written review, and you help get the podcast in the hands of other mamas in need. You can also text this episode to that friend who is also knee-deep in the same kind of chaos as you and inspire them to make a change. Also, your review lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and that lights me up. I get so excited to hear from you.
Another great way that we can connect, though, is through the One Income Family community over on Facebook. So after you're done leaving that 5-star review, head on over to the community where you will find other mamas working their way out of the chaos. You can ask your questions and connect with others who truly understand what you are going through. I cannot wait to connect with you in the community. Until then, I will see you right here next week on another episode of the One Income Family podcast.